Vandy C, a.k.a. Vandy Coulter, a.k.a. Pastor Vandy Coulter. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. We heard Al Green until Al turned green in our house. My mother played Al Green, Let's Stay Together, all that kind of stuff. Heard Johnny Taylor, James Brown. Those were the cats that, and the Temptations. That's the stuff that sticks out the most for me. I got the inspiration for DJing by default. I started as an MC for a guy who taught me how to DJ, named Greg Spann, and I was his MC. And then after a while, I started wanting to learn how to DJ. So he taught me, and then after he taught me, I kind of got nicer than him. Sorry, Greg, it's the truth. And when I got nicer than him, we kind of ended up going different ways with it. And then I ended up starting my own crew, so to say. And then now I'm behind the turntable, so then they're now MCing. And I'm DJing, so then I fell in love with DJing because I like the way you can control the atmosphere. You know, you could just, you know, I was always into the psychology of people, and you know, to see how you can make folk feel sad, happy, you know, hyper, you know, all the stuff that worked for me. You know, so at that point, I just started really getting involved in the whole. Back then, before it was any scratching, before it was, you know, any backspin, before it was any needle drop and all that stuff, it was just playing the music. And then came this kid named Flash. You know, everybody say Herc, but for us in Brooklyn, it was a kid named Flash. And when he started, you know, doing little things like scratching, then all of a sudden it revolutionized, you know, how we was approaching it in Bed-Stuy, you know what I mean? So in the Bronx, Herc influenced all the rest of the cats, but it didn't trickle down to us except through Flash, so. Back then, I had my MCs, one of them, which is Freak L. Freak L was one of them, and Bill Blast was another one. And then Freak L came from something up in Harlem World. We used to go up there all the time, and he's like, man, this kid named Flash just did something that was crazy, you know. And back then, the little chigga was crazy, you know. So then after that, he told me what he did, and I spent all day doing it, you know what I mean? And then from there, it just took a life of now seeking out other cats who was doing more than just playing the record, you know, more than just mixing the record. So that's how we did it. Well, they wasn't necessarily doing the stuff that what Flash, what Herc and everybody else, and you know, those cats trickled down to us through. It really trickled through Flash for us in the area Bed-Stuy I was at. But the folk in Brooklyn was DJ Flowers, Lance, Master D, Von K. What was this other guy's name? I think it was Stevie D. What was his name? There was a cat who was known for all of his sound. I mean, he just had wall-to-wall sound, you know. His name escapes me. But those were the two main cats that I looked at, you know, when I was really, you know, comparing what I was doing. You know, they had more sound equipment, but they was the ones I was looking at, you know what I mean? But for me, with the whole move with the records, it didn't get solid for me until, remember Heartbeat came out? I think Tanya Gardner, boom, 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 boom. When that came out, that's when, you know, there was this season where you can almost feel like it was getting ready to all go to vinyl, like it was all gonna go to wax. Everybody was like, you know, there was nowhere else it could go. You know what I mean? All the streets was doing it. Everybody was already, you know, I mean, cats was already building names, and you know, everybody's getting their own rep in their area. And it was, you know, all this, you know, radio wasn't on it yet, but it just felt like the only place because of one or two, you know, rap records, you know, the old school ones. The Super Rhymes was the first one that really like made cats go wow. It really wasn't Sugar Hill's joint, but before that it was Super Rhymes, you know, and Jimmy Spice's stuff. And but that's when I started saying maybe we could do a record too. So what we did is Evelyn Champagne King. It was Evelyn Champagne King. I'm pretty sure it was her band. Yeah, her band was going to produce my MCs. I had met them somehow at some event, something. It was Evelyn Champagne. Yeah, it was Evelyn Champagne King because we was going to use Tanya Gardner's Heartbeat. So so we went and did some studio sessions with their background singers. Everybody but Evelyn King. I never met her. All of her musicians and everybody was, you know, they was down, and they had a Freak L, Bill, you know, all my MCs. They was in the studio. I'm writing the rhymes, writing the stuff for, because I used to write most of the stuff for everybody back then, and I was producing without knowing what a producer was, you know what I mean? And then they went on tour, and while they was on tour, Treacherous 3 came out with Heartbeat One, and we was like, yo, they stole it, how they knew, you know, but just great minds think alike, you know what I mean? It was just hot. It just came out for a minute, and everybody just knew it was just the joint, and they came back off tour, and when they came off tour, it's like they got distracted and they never really got back with us. So we never moved the project any further along. And then after that, I probably went back to the lab from a DJ standpoint, and just really just the record pools. Like, I don't know if you know VIP Record Pool back in the Bronx, Al Pizarro, you know, Jazzy J, and him and them two they were really, you know, two close cats. And so that's when for me, it was all about DJing, more about doing the records for a season, you know, and it probably turned the corner. There was a DJ battle, you know, because I was in that record pool in the Bronx called VIP, and there was it was billed as 100 DJs battling, and it was like a 7-8 hour battle, and it was so I was the only cat, you know, from the Brooklyn side that had the rep from battling and stuff. So they asked me to participate, and so we participated. I'm holding it down. I'm knocking. I'm like Busy Bee said, knocking out all bums. I'm just doing it, and it came down while everybody had to do a set. If you get eliminated, you know, the bracket system. Way before Tommy Boy started doing the new music seminar stuff. And, you know, they got a lot of hype for the DJ battles, but back then it was battles, you know, for nothing, real easy. And it came down to me knocking all my bracket out, knocked out my 46, 47, and Jazzy J from Fresh Prince. They was from Philly, Jazzy Jeff. That Jazzy Jeff had knocked out his folk, you know, and I didn't know who he was. Their record was just coming out, Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble or whatever. And so everybody, you know, I remember hearing everybody at the DJ battle telling me, you know, like, you know, yeah, there's this kid from Philly though, who you might can't take, you know. So we got, I mean, after 45, 30 brackets or whatever, ain't no tricks left. You know what I'm saying? What's left? And I'll never forget, it was down to just me and him. It was, we got to do our set, and I'm like, I got nothing left, you know, and he pulled the pencil out, and everybody's like, oh! And I'm like, you know what, you got it, you know. I saw Jazzy Jeff probably a year after the Fresh Prince show came out down here, because he lives in Philly, and then I moved down this area of Jersey, and I was like, man, you remember that battle? We was just laughing about it.